Hi Taurus, welcome to your October reading. So we had the full moon in Aries last night, and October will be culminating with your full moon on Halloween. So really shining a lot of light on what it is that you need to do in order to be powerful, in order to understand what your power is. And I think that that's sort of been a question for you all year, really. Asking yourself, where do I belong in all of this? And do I actually belong in all of this? And the answer is, of course, you belong in all of this. And as to where you belong in everything that's going on in 2020, I think we all have a role to play. And I truly believe that you guys are finding your way in a very interesting manner. With everything that's happening in Capricorn, it's been very, it's like walking through quicksand. Somebody explained the stuff that's happening in Capricorn as a dumpster fire. But with Mars being in your 12th house, there's this spiritual aspect that you are recognizing. It's like you're emerging. It's almost like the phoenix rising from the ashes, emerging. Even though that's a lot of the 8th house energy, the light is really shining on, like, what is my purpose? What is the whole point of this? Why am I here? So when those questions come up for you in the next month, in the next coming couple months, when those questions come up for you, listening to your inner guide, listening to that higher self, listening to that voice that's inside of you, and allowing yourself to let everything else sort of fall away so you can hear it clearly. It's not about it's not about quieting your brain. It's about listening to what your brain's trying to say. That's really the thing that we run away from, is we are afraid of our own thoughts. We're afraid of our own inner healing process. We're afraid of that shadow side. And this Aries energy is really asking you to look at it. And it's like in your face. What is it that you need to do to step into your power? And that's a personal question for everybody. So I'm going to challenge you guys with asking yourself that for sure as we move further into October. Mercury retrograde. On top of everything else. Here we go. Let's throw in a Mercury retrograde. Mercury's in Scorpio, which is it's just across from you. So it's in your 7th house. Relationships, long-term partnerships, how you are communicating with them. And you guys have a very deep connection when it comes to your communication style. You don't say things unless there's meaning to it. Like, you don't just say things willy-nilly. Oh man, somebody used that phrase on Twitter yesterday, and so now here I am. You don't just like pop off, right? You don't just say things. And if you do, then it's time to sort of reel that in and kind of take a look at the way that you are presenting yourself to other people. This Mercury retrograde in your 7th house could absolutely 100% want you to show up in past relationships or contact somebody from the past. Somebody from the past may contact you. It is up to you to be extremely discerning on whether you actually want somebody from your past to show up, or if you would rather let it go. Start blocking those numbers now. If you don't want that person to show up for you, start blocking those numbers now. If you want to show up for someone else, if you want to show up to somebody from your past, I think that maybe wait until Mercury, because you're going to have the pull to do it. You're going to have the, you're going to, there's that air sign. I knew that was going to come out. you're going to have the pull to reach out. You're going to have the nostalgia. You're going to have the desire. You're going to feel like this person's presence is stronger than it normally is. And you may be right. But is this a burden that do you want to go back to that? Do you want that to become a burden for you? You have to ask yourself if it's worth disturbing your peace. If bringing this person back from your life, is it going to be a peaceful experience, or is it just going to be something that you have to fight about? Is it something that's going to trigger you, and are you prepared for the trigger? Have you healed from the trigger? I think those are questions that you really need to sort of come to terms with before you make that decision. And you know that I'm just being ultra protective because I don't want to see you guys get hurt. So the Queen of Swords and the Lovers and the Ten of Swords and the Ten of Wands and the Two of Swords. So the Gemini energy is strong. See, and I feel like having the Ten of Swords and the Ten of Wands with the Lovers, the fear of how it ended, the fear of the way that it ended, the fear of the burden that you held when it ended, and not the clear direction as to, like, you don't know how they feel, right? And the only way that you're going to know how they feel is if you approach them and you're fully transparent with how you feel. But that's a risk that we all have to take, right? But this Two of Swords is like, do I take the blindfold off and risk my peace for the, like, is it worth? The temptation is real, man. The temptation is real. And I think also the burden of the unknown is here for you as well. If this relationship caused, or this person, this air sign caused you strife, and it doesn't have to be an air sun sign. It can be an air, rising, moon, Venus, Mars, anything that has a personal planet air sign in it. That's who I'm talking about. There's a clear indication here that you are struggling with the decision of reaching out. And honestly, my Libra rising is like, here we go, weighing the options. So you have to sort of weigh the options. Is it going to make you feel better? Will it lessen the burden for you if you just reach out? Or will it make you feel worse? Will you be, see, the throat every single time when I do a reading for you guys. So you have to ask yourself, how is this going to affect you? What kind of burden is this going to, if it's going to be a burden at all, being put on you? But let's check. Let's see. Queen of Swords. For some of you, you know who the one is, right? You know that this is your person, and you know that despite the way things fell apart in the past, you know that if you reached out, that you probably, it wouldn't be a negative thing. Like deep down in your soul, you know that moving forward with reaching out to this person would probably not end up being a negative thing. But that fear that you guys will put on yourselves, that burden and that fear that you will put on yourselves, that's going to be the deciding factor, to be honest, because, oh yeah, I had a feeling this was going to turn around. You reaching out is not going to be the end of the world. In fact, it's probably going to arise a really big opportunity for you. The thing that is going to stop you is yourself, to be honest. So we have the Ace of Swords on the Queen of Swords. There's definitely something that this air sign wants to say. And I think that they're open to having the conversation. The Ace of Swords can sometimes be very blunt, so they'll probably be super honest with you. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it may trigger you into doing some healing. But again, it sort of depends on how you look at that as to whether it's a bad thing or not. If you want to sit on it until after Mercury goes direct, that's 100% okay too. But having the Hanged Man on the Lovers, See, what's interesting to me is I don't feel like this is a question as to what the relationship is for you. I don't think that this is a question as to what the connection is for you. I think this is a question for you as to whether it'll work. And the only way that you're going to know if it works is if you try. So look at how this is in a different way. Look at how much you have grown in the process. This could also just be somebody that you have recently connected with, or you've recently reconnected with. If this person is already back in your life, things are turning in your favor. But I think there's a very big fear of everything going wrong. The Ten of Swords is, having the Chariot on the Ten of Swords. So you could also be dealing with a Cancer energy or even a Pisces energy. We also have Sagittarius energy, but Gemini, Pisces, and Cancer so far. But that Chariot on the Ten of Swords, if this doesn't have to do with a relationship, I feel like you are in the process of moving locations. And I think the burden of moving locations, or the burden of having to move forward on your journey with the fear of the unknown, I think that's a really big thing for you. But knowing that sometimes we have to pause within all of this to come back into alignment with ourselves is a really, really big thing. So if this is not about relationships and this is about your general life or your work and stuff, there's a really big shift and a really big change that's happening. And I think that you moving forward, whether that's in a physical way or a theoretical way or a spiritual way, however that moving forward looks to you, you have to remember that we are always in a constant transition. We're always flowing. We're always moving. Now, whether you are moving in the direction you're supposed to be going in, or you're forcing the direction you're supposed to be going in, that's the double-edged sword, right? The double-edged sword. So it's almost as if you listening to your own instincts and listening to your own guide is going to create that alignment for you so you can move forward. But going to the worst possible case scenario that everything's just going to fall apart and it's going to hurt like it did in the past, whether it's a relationship or it's a situation, that's only going to keep you stuck. That's only going to keep you where you currently are. So moving on, Ten of Wands. So we have the Ace of Wands and the High Priestess on the Ten of Wands. Man, you're intuitive. And that intuition is screaming at you right now. Because you know that right now is the opportunity for you to take a chance. And that's scary. Taking the chance is scary. Taking the chance on another person is scary. Taking the chance on yourself is scary. But if we don't take chances in life and we don't push ourselves to take those chances, sometimes we can miss out on the best opportunities, and your intuition is screaming at you right now to take that chance. And you're almost done with the heavy load. Like, can you imagine if you just allowed yourself to, like, my heart's pounding so much right now, because I know that you guys are anxious by what I'm saying. Can you imagine just taking that chance and seeing the beauty on the other side of it? Like, what an amazing journey that would be for you. And to know that the hard part's over. Because the hard part is happening right now, the anxiety of having to reach out, or having to have that conversation, or having to admit to yourself that something has to change, or having to move on from something that is no longer serving you. It's all very frightening at this point. And that's the hardest part. And then once you allow yourself to get over that threshold, everything sort of opens up. The Wheel of Fortune on the Two of Swords. You know, Taurus, it doesn't matter what decision you actually make, you're always going to end up in the direction, or you're always going to end up where you're supposed to be. I think that we don't want to make the, quote, wrong decisions in life. The wrong decision is just the detour. It's just that we have to learn some more lessons before we get back on the right path again. But I think that you've learned quite a bit already. And so I think if you took that blindfold off and you allowed or keep the blindfold on, but listen to what the silence is trying to tell you, not with the sharpness of a sword, but with the flowing energy of the Wheel of Fortune. Foundations. Oof. I love this. I mean, we can get away from the relationship aspect if you want to, but I don't think I don't think this is about work for most of you. I think this is about that one connection that you can't let go of. The one that you don't allow yourself to admit most days that's still there. So the Three of Pentacles and the Star and the Six of Cups. And asking yourself if it's even worth fighting yourself against how you feel anymore. Is it worth it? Because the foundation that you're building and the direction that you're going is on a foundation that's much stronger. That's what the Three of Pentacles is. It's about working with the people that you love the most, that love you the most, to bring you to your dreams with the Star. And you know that this Six of Cups, it's an equal exchange of love and affection. It's not something where it's very one-sided. You know that the person would give back to you what you give to them. And maybe that's the scary part. That it would be equal. So, Four of Wands, Six of Wands, Page of Cups, and the Six of Swords. So we have 3 sixes here. Moving away from the Aries energy, moving into something much more victorious. Whoever needs to give the apology in order for things to fall into place and to create a stable environment, that Page of Cups is saying that it's, I mean, I think that it's time for you to recognize. I think it's just time for you to recognize and to not fear how that stability looks, to not fear how that stability feels. And then, yeah, moving away from the rough Aries energy. So we have the Six of Swords, the Emperor, and Judgment, with the Knight of Cups at the bottom of the deck. I mean, letting this Aries moon purge all of the things in your life that have been holding you back from stepping into your greatness and stepping into your power. The Taurus, your moon is tomorrow and comes in tomorrow. And there's a desire for you to feel good again. And when that desire is as strong as I'm feeling it right now from you guys, I know that even a Mercury retrograde can't stop you from pushing forward. So, I love you guys. If you need to get a reading from me, if you want to get some more clarity on your situation, I have astrology reading specials. I'm doing the Akashic Records readings, which is your soul and your past lives and all of the cords that are attached to you from past lives and releasing all of that stuff. It's a pretty fun reading. So it's not for the faint of heart, but it is a fun reading if you're interested in releasing some of the energies that you're still holding on to from past lives. And I also have tarot readings, astrology readings, Reiki specials. All of that stuff is in the Libra specials on my website. So check that out, Libra season special. I love you guys. Please take care of yourself. And I will see you before your full moon. I promise you, I will see you before your full moon at the end of October. Bye.